Hey guys, just wanted to do a quick video here. I am out here clearing the land. I want to talk to you today about stupid communists, but it's not completely what you think. So, what I'm doing here, I am by hand going to be clearing. This is absolute jungle. So you won't have an appreciation for how much work this is here, but I'm going to be clearing a considerable amount of land. I'm going to be removing all of this crap, leveling roads. I'm gonna have thousands of dollars invested, hundreds of hours of hard labor invested, and we're gonna get campers down here and put them on Airbnb. And so what that will lead to, undoubtedly, will be people who call me bourgeois or whatever the crap the communist little slang term for the elite is. If I make good money, if things work out, if I make, if I am able to profit substantially, okay? And the idea that anybody else will have some degree of a right to my profit when I have hundreds of hours of hard labor invested and tens of thousands of dollars invested, that they deserve some of that when they have nothing invested. You see, I'm taking on all the risk and putting everything out on the front end. They're doing nothing. It's the average fast food workers deserve a living wage type mouth breather, okay? And of course, this is just beyond stupid. And it's quite simply people who have invested nothing and have no idea what investing anything and what risk looks like, believing that they deserve something. And so I don't have to explain to you how stupid this is. However, when we write off everything in their argument, we fall for this psyop, which is planned, because they do have good points about problems with the private sector, with sales, with what we call capitalism here. So while I'm working my balls off here, we have mega corporations buying up every single house in this entire country to use as rental properties, and they've got hundreds of small business fronts and different ways to do things and ways to make things look authentic. So what happens is we've got these psyops, this propaganda that would lump me as a private individual working my butt off for decades and put everything on the front end, lumping me in with these giant evil super corporations. These giant evil super corporations, which are completely intertwined with the government. So on the conservative or libertarian side of things, we're more likely to blame the government, right? For good reason. And so the Democrats make their entire platform on attacking privately owned business, and what that ends up doing is the opposite of what the communists hope. What that ends up doing is it ends up destroying small mom and pops businesses and uplifting these giant corporations that are intertwined with your government, which, by the way, this is fascism. It is fascist, what we are seeing. The ability of the federal government to close down all businesses but the ones that they choose, that is fascist, definitively. One step from communist. They're almost the same thing. You are taught otherwise in schools because it's convenient for them to work this system, which I'm going to explain. So, as a libertarian or conservative or Republican or whatever else it may be, you simply blame government and attack government, and we get in some Republican who claims that he wants small government. The government never shrinks, but he claims that he wants small government. We vote for him. And then we swing over to the other side, and we've got some Democrat who blames businesses for all of our problems. And they claim that they're going to raise taxes on the rich, and they claim that they're going to do all of this and that and the other. Meanwhile, their businesses continue to get richer, and they continue to win. And so whether you blame the private sector or the public sector, both win. And as long as you throw away every argument on the other end of the aisle, or you look at the situation completely from one end or the other, they win. And ultimately, the problem, all of the communists' favorite businesses and people are the businesses that they should hate. Everybody's like, eat the rich, and then they're like, yeah, T-Swift, you make your billions, girl, woo! All right, and they vote for communists or whatever. And then the Republicans are like, T-Swift is trash. Tim Kennedy for the win, while Tim Kennedy's taking a piss on the Second Amendment and literally saying that gun ownership is not a right, but a privilege. Specifically, as long as the government is intertwined entirely with the private sector, then only businesses that are intertwined with the government will ultimately be extremely successful. It will be at the cost of small businesses. And as long as the communists are raging against business, we empower them to kill the small business, gain more government power, and do. So it doesn't matter which end of the spectrum you're on, because they're playing cards out of both decks. And so then there's so many psyops involved in this. And it should be really clear. It should be really clear. And like Patagonia, for instance, saying that they're doing all this crap for the environment, hosting these giant rallies against oil and petroleum products. Every single product that they make is made of oil, and yet they're making millions. They donate the entire company to a charity. It's a charity that they own, all of this money going directly to politicians. And the same is and it's the same thing. You've got Black Rifle Coffee trying to come off as a conservative business, again, donating to the Democrats, again, all feds, all ties to the CIA, and they own what you see. Montana Knife Company is in every Fed's pocket, being advertised on Fox News. 2 years, he went from living in a trailer to having a larger advertising budget than Benchmade, and having a larger manufacturing facility than the biggest knife companies, some of the biggest knife companies in the country. And then he's going to make a video talking about how he's still a mom and pop's business because this massive facility that is millions and millions of dollars of investment is on his property, and he has his employees parked on his property at his facility as if he's still a mom and pop's shop. And while he gets all of this free advertisement from the top advertising agencies in the country, and his stuff is on every Fed's lips and every Fed's pockets, all the small businesses, guess how much advertising they can get? Facebook, Meta, whatever else, will lock down not only every knife brand from promotion, they will shadow ban you so that you can never meet new people, and none of your posts will be seen by anybody who doesn't follow you. They will shut you down and make it so that you cannot market, while these giant companies who are allegedly conservative get free marketing on the doggone TV, invited to Fox News. 2 years from living in a trailer, and now you're out there working with SIG, you're talking about politics, you're doing competitions with Tulsi Gabbard, you're hanging out with Joe Rogan, you're getting every big name podcast that exists, and you have millions and millions and millions of dollars in manufacturing capacity out of nowhere. You've never gone to Blade Show as Montana Knife Company. You've never put in the hours and the time, and yet you're outproducing, when it comes to marketing, Benchmade, Buck, White River, Gerber. You out of nowhere have more resources than our established businesses. So the problem is the entire system. It is not something that you're going to vote your way out of. And there's no such thing as, the problem is, don't get me wrong, the problem is being a straight line voter. Straight blue, straight red. The problem's not the vote though, the problem's the mindset. Because it doesn't matter where you vote. On either side, you're still supporting the system, and the system's playing both ends of the spectrum, and people don't want to think about it. Everything I'm telling you, you might not know the specifics, but if you sit down and think about it objectively for a second, you'll know it's true because it's blatantly obvious. But you don't have time to sit down and think about it because you've got to work 50 or 60 hours a week with mandatory overtime, and your wife has to go work so that you can keep what you believe is an appropriate standard of living and send your children to government daycare for an education that you know is worthless. But you don't have time or money to do anything else with your children. The most important thing in your entire life, the future that you are supposed to be providing, you don't have time to provide that because you are invested in the system. Literally livestock. And so a lot of people get really up in arms about the Jews in my comment section on my channel in general, people that I know about. And there are times where there's reason for that, and there are times that are not. And they don't care about the false Jew or the true Jew. They don't care about any of that. They hate the Jews, and the reason they hate the Jews is because this goyim belief that anybody who is not a Jew is just livestock. We'll take a look. Take a look at your life. If you are not livestock, then everybody that you know is. And the path to not being livestock starts with just looking at your situation objectively. But then the next step, it's really, really hard because the system's been developed over generations to put us where we're at right now. And we have been conditioned to be in this spot where we have these expectations for quality of living. And it's going to be really hard to separate yourself from that. And so to go back with quality of living, people think that you have a right to work any job and support a family off of it and make a living. And again, this is just a propaganda piece. You have no right to move out from your parents, live by yourself, probably with your girlfriend, and make children and be able to afford everything. That's not a human right. If you don't make enough to live by your own, maybe make a better relationship with your parents and stay living with your parents. You have no right because you work, just baseline work, you have no right to move out and make a living on your own with a family. I work for a nonprofit saving turtles on the road. I need to make approximately $100,000 a year to support my 6 baby mamas and illegitimate children and to live in a nice neighborhood in my nice apartment. I have the right to make $100,000. I save 2 turtles a day. You don't produce anything. You produce nothing. Where's the right to make money come from? It's ignorant. It doesn't make any sense. It won't pass any logical expectations, but society has been led in a direction to believe that you turn 18 and you move out and you knock up some wench and you make enough money to pay for her or get married, and you should both. What the crap is all of this? You You have no right to any of that. The rest of the world, even in Europe, these socialist countries that people look up to, guess what? Their kids live with them until they're at least 30 because nobody can afford to move out. And you're like, oh, you know, Scandinavia has it so good. They just have it so good with all of their socialist crap. We should have socialist crap like them. You've never been out of the country. You've probably never been out of your state. You have no idea what the standard of living is there. You have no idea what the culture is there, but you've been fed this line about what you should expect. So at the end of the day, it blows me away when I get into arguments with communists, which seems to happen fairly often because they come out of the woodwork to say stupid crap, and they lump me in with BlackRock or Vanguard, or they tell me, you're not one of them, bro. Bro, I know I'm not one of them. Do you think that I'm delusional and think that I am rich by society's standards? Do you think that I have to tell myself something that's not true because if I believe in the private market, I have to be one of the... What kind of stupidity? No, I know I'm not one of them, and I'll never be one of them. But what I want is to achieve my own standard of living and what I expect to make and what I want for myself and my family. My wife's not going to work a full-time job out of the home. My children are not going to go to government indoctrination camps. We are going to raise our kids. The government will have nothing to do with it. And I will continue to invest in myself and in the assets that I have and my own capabilities as much as I can until I find something that allows me to do as much as possible while having as much time as possible, because I need that time to do everything else, right? And so I'm going to put forward the risk and put forward everything else to make that happen. Meanwhile, these communists who hate these small businesses will go shop at the big businesses with no second thoughts and tweet about how unfair everything is on their Apple iPhone and not bat an eye when giant businesses are bailed out by the federal government. And while interest rates continue to be kept artificially low to keep the economy from crashing, which, you know, all we're doing, all this whole world, chances are you, but not necessarily, I don't know you, but chances are you, all everybody is doing is they're putting off the fall as long as possible and putting it on their children and grandchildren. We're taking out debt for our children, societal debt and everything else as a country. And at the end of the day, all the communists are fighting about tax breaks for the rich, and they want tax breaks for the poor and conservatives and this and that and the other. Your taxes don't matter, because when your government needs money, they just print more. They poof it out of thin air, which means they don't need your taxes. Your taxes only exist to keep you as a slave. That's it. They don't need that money. They just make money when they want it, which is part of the problem, of course. So, I guess we just need objective thinking. And people go through their lives ranting and raving about their status in life and where they're at and what they want to achieve and what they can't achieve and everything else. And they want to point fingers and blame people, but they can't even start with objective thought about where they're at and with thinking what risks and investments they're willing to take to change things. Get a loan for $4,000, buy a hot dog cart, and go start selling hot dogs on the weekend. Whatever it takes. I'm going to be doing all these things, everything, all of it, you know. So, anyways, just another random video while I sit here and do manual labor. And the hardest part about this is while I'm working on all of this with a view for the future. I'm not making money right now. And so I feel like I'm wasting my time and I'm not working, and this should be done on a weekend, but I can't do it on the weekend. I was doing other work on the weekend. So I've got to squeeze things in everywhere I can, all for a long-term plan that might not work at all. And it's never going to be rags to riches, because every rags to riches story wants you to believe that this is what the owners did, and it's always a lie. Even Black Rifle Coffee's rags to riches, Montana Knife Company, the rags to riches is the most powerful thing for the peasants, but it's every single time you see it at the top, it's always a lie. There's always government involvement, there's always power at the core, and they want to manipulate the story a little bit to make it more palatable to the slave peasant livestock workers. And it's just about maintaining the illusion. So, all right, I'm done. Hey, check out the description box below. I've got my own businesses, Exodus Knife and Tool for knives. Beach and Tactical, I make rifle slings based on design I designed in Afghanistan, all American-made components. And I've got affiliate links, and I've got a Patreon as well. So let me know. I'll talk to you in the comment section below. Don't be a communist. Have a blessed day.